Welcome back. So what I've decided to do today is speak to a friend of mine who's in Ukraine right now and pick his brain as to what it's like over there meeting Ukrainian women, what strategies he has. He's also from the United States, so he's a foreigner in Ukraine. And I just want to ask him a few questions as to how he's going and how he's going about it. So welcome to One Man's Life Mission. And I've also, by the way, I've had this guy on before on another video previously. We won't. I don't know what we'll call you. What are we going to call you?
Well, you can call me D.
D. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Big D.
Something in my name.
The Big D.
In my name. Good enough.
Yeah, that's your name, isn't it? The Big D. So
Yeah.
so all right. So you're in Ukraine, and can you give us what's your? Don't tell me your number one strategy is Tinder.
No, actually, Tinder's not really the best strategy here, or just about anywhere in deep Eastern Europe. And the reason is because a lot of foreigners are on Tinder, and it's kind of like the easy pickings, the easy meet, but it's not always the best girls you'll find there. And this is a big problem in Ukraine because there is kind of that orientation towards materialism or gold digging. So if you're looking for a higher quality girl, especially if you have a girlfriend, that's probably the worst place to find a girl is Tinder. I'm not saying you can't find a good girl there, but it's just harder. You're going to find more attractive women there, which is a big issue in Ukraine.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely.
I usually do Dave. Yeah, I usually do Daygame or better yet, social circle. But that's just another more complicated subject entirely.
Yeah. So I guess anybody can turn up and swipe right on Tinder. Like anybody can do that. But how are you going about your day game? I think this is a bit more interesting.
Well, I'm not going to divulge my entire knowledge of what I do step by step.
Why not?
In Ukraine.
Why not?
Well, I'll just kind of give you an over. Well, the reason is I'm not saying someone could actually reproduce the same thing I'm doing, but I just don't feel comfortable saying exactly what I. But I can give you some examples and maybe kind of an overview of things to not do and the things that are better to do in dating in Ukraine and in Eastern Europe.
No, yeah, sounds good.
So, all right, yeah. So I'm a proponent of the mixture of indirect and direct game. That there is no one that is better than the other. So I think a traditional model of direct game works better in Western Europe or in, say, Australia or America, where you're directly approaching a girl. And you're kind of, cutting to the chase. You're going straight for what you want. And that cuts out a lot of time. And, girls in America or it's just in the West in general are more masculine. They need something. In Russia or Ukraine, direct game does work. But I know a lot of friends that have a lot of success with direct game. I'm just saying what works for me. For me, I use a kind of indirect, direct approach, meaning that sometimes I do direct approach. If the girl's walking extremely quickly, if a girl gives me any indicator that she's interested in me, meaning eye contact, even a semi-smile, or looking at me just a little bit too long, or if she's sitting there with her friend, for example, like in a 2-3 set, I have to do a direct game. It doesn't make any sense to do indirect game at that point. You're going to
well, if it's on, it's on, right?
So it's better to be confident.
Well, if it's on, it's on. So, of course. But that's good that you because I remember back in Australia, back in the day, this was quite a while ago, you were doing quite a bit of direct, and I remember saying, come on, let's calm it down, let's do a bit more indirect, let's be a little bit more relaxed and centered. So is that tending to work a little bit better in Eastern Europe for you?
Yeah, I mean, a lot's happened happened in the last 6 years. So I think being centered comes with time. When you have a lot of experience with different girls, you get a certain momentum that happens. You have a certain swagger, a way of being, a way of walking away from set. That only comes from a lot of experience. You can't really fake it till you make it, something like that. But like I said, I do a lot of indirect game too. Indirect game in Eastern Europe, especially with younger girls, for me works better. And also, the thing is, in a place like Ukraine, there is a lot of sex tourism. A lot of guys come here with cheap flights from England or France or Germany. And so there is a lot of foreigners here. It's not like you can just walk in here and you're going to be the only foreigner and the girls will love you. If you think that, then you're in the wrong place. There's places like that in the world, but Ukraine's certainly not one of them. There's tons of foreigners here. So a lot of it is just separating yourself from the hordes of foreigners that have come to Ukraine for sex tourism. And that's a bit of an art form in itself. So I think Ukraine, unlike other places, it's more like, how can I build comfort with a girl for her to believe that I'm actually a trustworthy foreigner, that I'm not here just like every other foreigner to just try to sleep with her and me. And something about Ukraine different than, say, the West, where girls actually want to, they would be happy to sleep with someone if they feel attracted to. Ukraine is a slow place where a girl sees things in terms of relationships more than sex. And so you have to embody that to a certain degree by going through a certain process, or as we call it, a funnel of different steps that have to occur in order for you to succeed with Ukrainian women and even Russian women.
How's the English?
Understand this, you will fail.
How's the English level over there? How's the
the English level? It's better than Russia. It's worse than most European Union, Eastern European countries like Poland, where most young people speak English. So I would say 20 to 30% of girls speak some level of English where you have a conversation. But if you don't speak Russian or Ukrainian, then you are going to have issues where you're kind of limiting yourself to a small number of girls if you speak English to a good enough point where they feel comfortable dating. I personally speak Russian, and I go on dates both in English and in Russian. My level of Russian is conversational. I've been studying it for years. It doesn't mean that I can game hard in Russian, but I have enough Russian where I feel comfortable going on a date and doing everything in Russian on that date. And sometimes I have communication issues, of course, but I can get through a date. Google Translate a few things I don't know, tell her to speak slowly. I can get through an entire date in Russian. I'm comfortable with it. But that's more of an advanced thing. Doesn't mean you can't meet girls that speak English. There's plenty of girls that speak fluent English in Ukraine. It's just not 100%, and it's definitely less than 50% of girls.
Okay, so it's not. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of girls that you can actually. What? Okay, if they don't speak English, what are your chances with them?
What are your chances? Is that your question, Jay?
Yeah. So just say they don't speak English.
It's impossible. It's not worth it.
Okay.
At that point, you just bolt because you can't. I mean, the level of interest of a girl, she's not going to go on a date with you. And Google Translate everything, and if she does at some point, it will fit. Like it may be on the second date, she's just like, this isn't worth it. I mean, would you want to go with someone that you're just translating everything on Google Translate? Not really. And most girls that are hot are not going to waste your time. So
okay.
I would say just stick to the English speakers. If she can't speak English, move on to the next.
It doesn't sound like Ukraine is a very good spot to hit then.
Well, it depends where you are in your game life and how long you've spent in Eastern Europe. I would say Ukraine is good if you're older than 30. I would say do not come to Ukraine if you're less than 30 years old, because girls won't take you as seriously. Being a little bit older is actually beneficial in Ukraine because they think that you're stronger, you're more confident, you have more money. So I think that a good spot to be in Ukraine, at a minimum, be in your late 20s. That's a minimum. I still think that's not even great. I better be at least 30 years old. So I would say that the prime time of Ukraine is to be from 30 to 35, have a little bit of money in hand, and have a deep understanding of Eastern Europe.
And
if you're that type of guy, you will succeed in Ukraine. And you have to have a strong will, a strong frame. You have to have a lot of experience with girls. Ukraine is not an easy place. This is like advanced game. If you want an easier place, I suggest Poland. I suggest maybe Estonia, Finland, Scandinavia. But this is definitely for the players and guys that have experience with women.
And it sounds
been around traditional cultures before.
It sounds like they're mainly looking for relationship, a boyfriend.
Yes, absolutely.
Because it's a bit poorer.
All girls in Ukraine are looking for a relationship, and many want to be quote unquote wiped up.
Gotcha.
So it's not a place where girls just want to have sex with no strings attached. It's not that place. If you're looking for that, it'll be a hard time in Ukraine. It doesn't mean you can't string girls along and have regulars, meaning you have kind of a pseudo girlfriend type, and you have 1, 2, 3 of those happening at once. But each of them are an investment, both in time and financially, and even emotionally. So you got to know that there's no strings attached, no cake is free in Ukraine.
So
for sure.
So when you're dating them, do you have to take them out on many dates before you pull home, or are you able to pull directly home? I'm assuming.
It's almost impossible to pull directly home. If someone's pulling directly home, they're pulling girls that are not so hot, and it's extremely rare. I've seen it happen. I've never done it, but I've seen it happen. But usually the girls are questionable in how they look, honestly. But the girls that I'm targeting are hot girls. They're hot girls. They would be extraordinarily hot in Western European countries or in America or in Australia. And usually it takes me from 3 to 5 dates to sleep with those girls.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, it makes sense. So
these are not simple dates. This isn't going bowling in the West and drinking a few beers. These are dinner dates. These are elaborate dates. These are walks. These are more traditional dates. This takes time. There's a method.
Okay. And so with the day game approaches, what locations do you recommend?
Well, I recommend just about anywhere in the city. If you're good at what you do, you will do well. There's definitely touristic areas in the city where there's a lot of day gamers already here.
Really?
But yes, there's a lot. In Kiev, there's a lot of day gamers.
Or doing London day game model?
Just because they're in Ukraine. Not right now so much because of the COVID situation, but in general, there usually is a lot. There could be maybe in a small area 3 or 4 day gamers at the same time.
Are there
a cheap flight from England to Kiev? It's definitely a place that is quote unquote spoiled. It's not a fresh land. If you want something fresh, you have to go somewhere like Russia, where there really isn't that many people. There's not a lot of foreigners due to the visa issues, etc. But Ukraine's definitely been spoiled by lots of foreigners for many years. So don't think that you're going to come here and be special by being from America, Australia, Canada, France. You're not. So that's
I'm hoping
for me it's pretty much the best spot.
Well, I'm hoping a lot of my audience is actually learning proper game from my channel. So I don't think worrying about other gamers is an issue. It's not an issue in Australia. What about the day gamers that are there? Are they all London day game model? Are they yad stopping up and down the street?
I don't really know. I've heard some weird things. I haven't day gamed as much as I should.
Oh my god!
I have so many leads because I don't need to day game that much. But I've heard from one guy that he was doing 60 approaches a day. I kid you not, and his conversion rate was 1%. I'll just give you one about myself. For every 2 girls I approach, one gives me their number. And if she gives me her number, there is probably like a 70-80% chance she'll go on a date.
Okay.
So I'm getting like a 20-30% conversion. This guy's getting a 1%. And it's like a massive difference. I can't even believe this, but it's probably because he has no cultural understanding of of Ukraine. He has no understanding of what girls are looking for here, and he's just going on a massive numbers game, and he's probably blowing half the city away. But I'll probably be able to approach the same girl 2 minutes later and have a date with her. So it doesn't really matter.
When you get them on the dates,
it's all cultural understanding.
When you get them on the dates, how is the conversion onwards? Do you get them on a date and then they can flake afterwards or ghost you? Or is it generally in the bag and you just need to hold on and wait it out?
Well, there's nothing sure in this world. That's for
well,
that's sure.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I've gone on like 14. I've gone on like 14 dates, maybe even more. Maybe 18 dates since the last 2 months I've been here. And most of the time, it's me that's not choosing them, because I feel like if I get a girl, I have to invest a lot of time in her and in effort, and I don't want to waste my time on a girl that I personally don't like in terms of personality, not just looks. So I've had maybe one or two girlfriends, so they have flaked on me after the first date. But in Ukraine, I think if I've gotten the girl on a date, she already likes me. She's like kind of vetted me out a little bit, and she probably wants to be seeing me. So I've had, let's see, 2 girls, nothing about it, 2 girls that flaked on me, and 1 girl that I slept with that flaked on me later. But I'm not sure if that was me or some internal issues that she had or some work issues. I don't really know.
Okay.
Yeah, but most of the girls have wanted to see me again. And it was just my own personal choice of not seeing them because I felt like they were boring or they weren't cool or they were too materialistic or something along those lines.
How much are the dates usually? How much are you, like in say US dollars, how much would you pay per date?
Well, I would say I pay anywhere from $20 to $35 a day, depending on the girl, but even less sometimes. Because I might take them on a dinner date as a first date if I'm not quite sure how they look like where I'm kind of weary about their personality. But usually I'm taking the girls directly to a lunch for dinner at a restaurant that's not too expensive, but looks decent enough, like a decent restaurant, kind of a mid-level restaurant where the girls say, I'll go out with him. Because there's a lot of foreigners here that just come here and they think that since Ukraine is cheap, they don't have to spend money, or they come from a Western mentality where you can kind of take a girl for a beer. Well, Ukraine's not that country.
Gotcha.
No, they say in Ukraine, no money, no honey. It doesn't mean you have to be a sponsor daddy or a sugar daddy. Some people do that, but I think that's not gaming. But you have to be able to spend money. If you don't spend money in Ukraine, the girl's going to see you as a deadbeat. Because even the local Ukrainian men are doing that. And so for the local Ukrainian men that don't make a lot of money, they have bad salaries, they're taking girls out of restaurants. Some guy from Miami wants to take them to a coffee. That's pretty pathetic.
I gotcha.
You can't do that.
All right, so the optimum strategy would be, I guess, approach, mature, come across as boyfriend material, try to project that you live in Ukraine and you're not just flowing in and out. Try to be a little bit more mature as if you're looking for a relationship. And instead of trying to pull, you take them out on, say, minimum 2 proper dates where you buy dinner. 3. Okay, so it's a real slow process. But I guess what it would be is you get them, 3 or 4 or 5 girls on a bit of a date rotation, and then they'll hit a point where the first girl, you put her into the funnel of 3 dates. By time she hits the 3rd date, you've got another 4 or 5 girls on the first and the second date, and then it's just compound pussy at that stage. So it's on like a date rotation.
Exactly. It's about building a harem in Ukraine, not about getting a lot of one-night stands. There's other countries that I've been to where are better for that, but Ukraine's a slow thing. It's the old man game. You're the patient waiting game. So you go on several dates, 3 dates, and then on the third date you try to pull the girl. If she's ready for sex, you'll feel it. If not, you can have sex with her on the fourth date. Maybe the date on the really slow younger girl, but you should be sleeping with a girl in under 6 days. And if you're not, then you're probably not. You just wasted a lot of time. So.
I gotcha.
Yeah, so it's a whole funnel. You go on first date, restaurant date, then maybe some sort of dessert, or maybe maybe like a walk with a restaurant, and then a third date, you take her to a wine bar if she drinks, get her 1 or 2 drinks where she has fun, and then you could say, hey, then bring her back to your place. Don't try to have sex with her immediately. Make her feel comfortable, at ease with you, kind of that old mystery method, building comfort. And then you could try to proceed to have sex. And if she doesn't feel comfortable, then you just say, oh, it's okay. You wait for the fourth date. Kind of like what your father would do in the 1950s is what works in Ukraine.
Okay.
That's kind of what works in Ukraine. It's a portal in time. And there's a lot of nuances. I would say if you really want to do well in Ukraine, you have to live here full time or spend several months here, because it's such a complicated place where when you figure out, when you come here, a lot of guys are still running with their tails in between their legs. But if you live here and you have a lot of experience here, then you're killing it on a grand scale. But again, it's a learning curve. It's kind of like when you figure it out, you understand the system, you understand the girls, you understand the culture, then it all adds up and you start to do very well.
What about the demographics? So is it like an aging population? Is it a mainly younger population because of...
Well, that is an issue in Russia and Ukraine and most of Europe in general, but Eastern Europe it's an aging population where people are getting older. But in the larger cities like Kiev, Lviv, Odessa, there's still a lot of young people that come here for both university, for just a host of reasons. So there's plenty of young people that do come here.
Have you tried
but it is an aging population.
Have you tried Daygame at universities?
Not yet in Ukraine. I've done it in other countries, but not yet in Ukraine.
Damn. You haven't tried universities. If you've got a lot of high status, have you tried places where the wealthiest people would be? Just say the business district, to try and cold approach.
I'm trying to do that honestly, but that's next level thing. I am trying to do something along those lines.
Damn.
Yeah, and I've gone to a few more exclusive parties, and those work out better because you're kind of pre-selected of like you're invited to this party, so it must mean that you are someone somewhat important.
Sounds like status is important.
Yeah, I mean, status game works, but you have to have real status. You can't just fake status. It's one of those things. The girls have to perceive you have real status. The thing about Ukraine and Russia is that you would literally have to have real status to actually be perceived as having status. You can't fake it because the girls are so smart because, these countries aren't very wealthy. They're not poor countries, but they're kind of like on the European poorer side. So they are like, girls know when someone has money or is successful or has status, etc. Because that's how they're from an early childhood. They're like, detectors, radars, knowing if a man really does have the ability to provide and have status, etc. So you can't really fake it yet.
Okay. So the you haven't tried the universities. Is there a business district where there's like like hot lawyers, hot secretaries, business women like that?
There is everywhere. You could walk around the city center and there's a lot of that. But the problem is that a lot of those girls are already taken. So like most girls that are 25 and plus, they're married, even younger. So it doesn't mean you can't find a young single, like a single, 27-year-old, but it's more rare than say in Australia, for example. The average age of marriage, I think, like, let's say the average age of getting married in Australia is like 30. Let's say for a professional person, someone that has a university degree. Same with the US. Here it would be like 25, 24, 25.
Wow.
For both men and women. So it's a big difference.
Do you think Ukrainian girls are hotter than Polish girls? Or who's...
Yeah, Ukrainian girls are probably the hottest girls I've ever seen in Eastern Europe.
Wow.
I would say Ukrainians are the hottest girls, number one. The number two are Belarusian. Number three are Estonian. Number four are Polish. And number five are Russian girls. Russian girls being the last of the hottest girls, but they're still hot. It's not like comparing England and Scotland or something. Like, I mean, they're all hot, but Polish girls are hot, Russian girls are hot. But I still think Ukrainians are the most beautiful. They have an interesting blend of different ethnicities, races, or whatever, and they're just really beautiful women here. Not entirely sure why, but they definitely are really beautiful here. But they have a certain look. They don't really have. It's not a place where girls have really big butts or whatever booty, or they don't have big boobs. They're more like skinny, kind of modelish type girls. If you want like kind of curvy, big boobs, big butts, blonde hair, blue eyes, Poland is the place. Okay. Ukrainians are also darker. They have darker hair, darker features in general. There's not a lot of blonde people here.
I see. Oh well, yeah. I think I've learned quite a lot about Ukraine so far. I would like to hear your results if you went to a university, though. That's something that I'd like to know. And
university has just started, and because of COVID, a lot of it is online learning. That's why I haven't gone yet.
What about maybe there'll be like some motor shows? You can go hit on models, or
I never thought about that.
I'd
I'm
like
just
to.
kind of busy with everything, so it's. But when I have more time, I'll probably try to see other events, etc.
Well, maybe I should. As soon as these, I want to go over there. Then I can. We can innovate.
Yeah, Dave, you're always invited.
I'd love to go over there. But yeah, I think this is good. This is good. We learnt quite a bit. But yeah, thanks for coming on. And for you guys at home, hopefully you learned something. Make sure you click the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.